Recording in progress.
Jump inside the sub
and buckle on in.
Open your mind,
because it's time to dive into
2, 1.
the deep end.
The deep end.
Welcome to the deep end.
The deep end.
The deep end, bro.
Yeah, brah, deep end.
Deep, man.
Too deep, brah.
Hello, everybody. I'm Stephanie,
And I'm Stephanie.
and welcome to the deep end. Nice to have you back.
We're so excited to have you joining us and along for this ride. And we really want to thank you all for your support. We had 25 downloads in the first 24 hours of our new podcast.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was so cool.
We also wanted to let you guys know that if you have any questions about what we talk about, if there's anything that you want to know about the universe that we could take into our sessions, we'll ask any question you want and report back. Or if you just want to know questions about us, just email us at thedeependpodcast2024@gmail.com.
Yeah,
Yay!
totally. We'll do our best to answer your questions and it'll be fun.
Oh, yeah. Especially the universe questions. Like, if you guys want to know stuff about, how it all works, the aliens, like, seriously, we have a list of our own questions. We'll, bump your questions to the front of the line and let you guys know what we come up with. I think that would be a lot of fun to see what other people want to know, outside of the stuff we already want to know.
Yeah, send us your deep questions, man.
Your deep, dark questions, bro.
We'll deep dive.
Deep into your brain, man.
Into the depths of your soul.
Buckle up, let's dive in. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, I was kind of thinking that we could touch on where we left off last time about the school of Earth. Earth is kind of like a place that our souls go to have experiences and learn and grow. And we kind of ended last time talking about how you only get the lessons whenever you're ready for them, and you have to build upon your lessons. It's kind of like how we go through grades in school. And until you grasp certain spiritual concepts, you're not going to be introduced to newer concepts until you can master the foundational ones. So your higher self or the universe or your spiritual path isn't going to give you anything until you're ready for it.
There is no freaking way you could have told me my deepest trauma story a couple years ago and I could accept that.
Right.
Like, I had to go at it in phases. My awakening started in like 2013-ish. Well, no, that was kind of like my awakening to the world around me, like pop culture, the exiting the matrix kind of shit, But like my actual spiritual awakening has been around my Saturn return. It's like around the time I turned 30, my second really big awakening. In fact, when I journal, I allow my higher self to do the talking. Like, I'll just write what I feel like my higher self is saying. And she straight up told me, like, this is your biggest awakening yet. So beautiful. Like, buckle up. It's going to be a great ride.
Like right now.
Oh yeah, she
Uh.
said it a couple years ago. That was the first phase of it. There was stuff that happened. I met people. It was just, yeah. In fact, it was during eclipse season back in 2022. It's been an interesting ride, the whole awakening thing, because really all it is just you awakening to your divine magnificence. It's really nothing more than that. And as you do that, yes, you awaken to the world around you, but you also realize that it's not about the world around you. It's about your experience and how you perceive what's going on in your life and the lessons you're learning and your spiritual growth. Because when you nurture yourself first, you're able to be present and focused and there for the people around you,
Right. Yeah, with my experience, I am not quite as far on my spiritual awakening. I'm still a little baby in it, I feel like, every day. I also had crippling depression and anxiety for years. I arguably have dealt with it since I was a child. But with me, I've realized that it was my body trying to tell me that I wasn't aligned with my path. And I was staying in a job that was fun and I loved the people, but ultimately the energy made me miserable. But the money was good, so I stayed. I was depressed. I was drinking. I self-sabotage, eating shitty. And it wasn't until I left that environment, I wasn't ready to go down that journey until I left the environment for a while. I had to change some ways of thinking and change my vibration and change my perspective before I was even ready to start my spiritual
yeah.
awakening.
Oh yeah.
And that itself was probably a year process in between them, that I was kind of felt like I was walking in the dark and banging into stuff and trying to navigate this.
Without your gratitude glasses on.
Yeah. The more you align with your purpose, I feel like that helps a lot with your perspective and how you view the world. But also, one of my favorite things to refer to is the 5 steps or the formula from Bashar. And the number 1 is always follow your highest passion. If you're always following your highest passion, then that's going to align you with your soul's purpose. But it's also going to make you feel fulfilled and alive instead of just doing the same thing every single day with no passion. Yeah.
And like, well, and like I was watching this character on a show and she was like, I have the worst OCD and like crippling anxiety and blah, blah. I'm like, sweetie, get out of that environment. Like everybody thinks like I just have to take all these drugs and I could do it. It's like, no, that's your soul screaming at you for help. Like this is not what you're meant to do. Like you're not meant to live a life in survival mode like that. That's not what it's about.
Right.
Yeah.
But our society has us so disconnected from anything beyond that. We are kind of taught that it's selfish to look inside for your true purpose and that you should be going to a job and punching a clock and living the rat race and not
money,
living joy.
Cars, houses. Like that's all that's important. Like,
Yep. A very shallow existence, but
I know
we're ready to get deep with it.
Deep, man.
Yes, we spend our money on travel and experiences.
Yep.
And doing snow angels in the northern lights. You know?
I wanna make angels under the northern lights in the snow. If we can dream it, baby, then we can go. So are you down? Are you down? Please tell me.
When I did go to Iceland, I saw the northern light, but not until the snow had thawed. The first few days it was super snowy and snow everywhere, and then it all thawed, and then the northern lights came the last day.
Well, that's more than I got to see. I would love to see the northern lights. Oh my gosh, that is a bucket list item for sure.
I definitely want to go back and do it again. We only saw them for a few split seconds. It was mostly stormy the whole time.
We are interrupting this program to deliver an urgent announcement to all citizens of Earth.
Oh my God, you guys, the day after we recorded this episode, we ended up having G5 solar flares and got to see the northern lights over Humboldt County.
It was so cool. It was beautiful.
It was the coolest thing. I had seen them in Iceland, but just for a split second. And the ones I saw were like a really light green. And these were vibrant pink ribbons into the sky, or like flares, or what are those things called?
I have no idea what they're called. I can't remember, but I
bands. They're called bands. I knew it was on the tip of my tongue.
It was interesting because when I first went outside, they really weren't that bright to the naked eye. Obviously, you got to let your eyes adjust and stuff. But it's, I don't know, living in the suburbs, I guess you could call it. There's
the light pollution.
Yeah. And so that was kind of hard, but it was funny because you could see the bands moving in the sky. And as you look at it more and more, you could kind of make out the color change. But my son started taking pictures. And so I was like, whatever, I'll take some pictures. And I'm really glad I did. Because like, you know, obviously turn the flash off and the phone just naturally did a really slow shutter speed. And it was so vibrant and beautiful in the phone.
Yeah.
And so I took some cool pictures with my phone.
Me too.
That were gorgeous, that I'm definitely gonna have to print those out.
Right.
Really beautiful.
I love these, the newer phones have the night vision technology on them, and that's what they'll do. They'll do like a really slow shutter. You have to hold your phone still, and sometimes it's hard to hold it still and it gets all blurry. But man, if you can hold it still, it picked up great pictures. And my news feed today on social media is just nothing but solid pink, starry. It's like so pretty because everyone in our area is sharing their photos, and they're just so gorgeous.
I know. I love seeing them. It's funny funny because like whenever something big like this happens, everybody has to share the pictures or the posts or the whatever. But this is one that actually was not annoying. It's actually really cool seeing everybody's shots of this. It was really cool. All
Yeah.
the colors. My little brother got a really cool shot. It was like it had pinks in it, and then as on like towards the right of the picture, it was like went red almost. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, I saw a couple people that had that in their pictures. Mine was like it turned green closer to the horizon, like closer to the tree line, and then it turned pink a little bit higher up. But I actually had to drive and leave my house to go find them because my north-facing sky is covered in trees. So I went on a little mission sky chasing last night to try to get an open view of the north-facing sky to try to see them.
Oh yeah, I had to go. I started in my backyard and then I was like, I gotta see this in the front on the street because yeah, there's trees and stuff. Everybody has trees in their backyard. So yeah, I had to go out in the front.
Yeah. But not only that, like just the energy in the air is so wild right now. And I'm sure it's because of the flares in the electromagnetic field getting kind of messed with the energy hitting our atmosphere. I've heard like the energy of the northern lights be called like a fuel for a mass awakening to raise the consciousness of Earth and raise the vibration of the planet as a whole.
Whoa, dude. That's
Whoa.
That's crazy. Deep,
Too
man.
deep,
You
bruh.
know, that's the first time I've heard it, and I mean, not like right now when you said it, obviously, I've been reading a lot of people who have been posting about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it fascinating because the way the energy was a couple days before seeing that, it definitely makes sense. The
Mm-hmm.
shift. It's like almost likening the energy to like what a beach looks like before a tsunami. It's like there's the water, the tide goes back, and recedes really far, and then the big wave comes in, and that's what it kind of felt like before all of that. It was like the energy was really draining and
Mm-hmm.
it was really just odd.
That's actually a common experience around solar storms, and we're just having a really intense, like even more than usual. But people that are intuitives or really sensitive to the energies, they will have ascension symptoms around the time of solar storms, which will make them have fatigue, have headaches, blurry eyes, migraines, flu-like symptoms, just feel like crap altogether.
Oh yeah. I had a really bad headache the other day. I thought I was just really dehydrated.
Yeah, yeah, and that it was probably you were feeling the beginnings of this energy coming in. It also messes with our sleep and can increase like anxiety or give you really crazy vivid dreams. We're more sensitive to the energy than we realize, and you just feel all these things happening around you and don't understand why. And then all of a sudden you find out, oh, well, we're having G5 solar flares, which are really, really intense. And it's something that's not talked about really in mainstream, but it seriously affects everyone that can feel energy, which is every human being.
Well, I mean, the Earth vibrates at its own resonant frequency, and so do the other planets. And so,
Right.
I mean, it's been proven by science how much the Earth's resonance and being away from it affects us. And so, if that's possible, then being affected by the energy coming off of the sun is definitely possible. If the Earth is affected by the moon's tides, and we're made primarily of water, like we are affected by the moon. And so, of course, these solar flares, that energy, oh, yeah,
Yeah,
is
definitely.
definitely, yeah, because I never, and honestly, like studying astrology, I never really accounted for that. Whenever weird shit goes down, I'm always like, okay, what's going on in the sky? Like what's this planet doing? And where's this planet at? What's this planet doing? I feel like the universe is, or at least some of my spirit guides are like giving me a crash course in how energy and frequencies and vibrations work. I've definitely been more attuned to how these energies have really affected me in that way. Yeah. Because
Mm-hmm.
I never really paid attention
Mm-hmm.
to it because I always focused my energy elsewhere. And I mean elsewhere in like what I said earlier about, just astrology, like looking at transits and blah, blah, blah. That's what I
Right.
mean by that. But like,
So I never really followed the Schumann resonance either, and I recently have kind of been exposed to this concept of the Schumann resonance being affected by solar flares and solar energy. And the Schumann resonance is basically the heartbeat of Gaia or the heartbeat of Mother
it's
Earth.
yeah, it's the Earth's resonant frequency.
Right, right. So But more recently, I've started asking in my past life regression sessions because it's been brought to my attention. And we have found out that I have one client specifically that deals with a lot of health issues. And we found out very specifically that she should monitor the Schumann resonance because it'll help her know whenever she's about to have a flare up of her physical issues, because it directly affects her health and the issues that she's dealing with, whether she is going to be so sick that she's in bed for days or she's going to feel great and be up functioning like normal.
Whoa, dude, that's crazy.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So I've only recently started learning about this and the effect, but I just thought it was really cool. Point out that the G5 solar flares have an effect on this. And that's pretty much why we're seeing the northern lights so far down in the country. But man, we're lucky. They're so freaking gorgeous.
Oh, I know. They're so cool.
I felt like
I
the triple
know.
rainbow guy. I was like, it's so beautiful.
We are now returning to your regularly scheduled programming.
I am happy to report that we also have Pluto going through our 9th house of travel, foreign travel. And so I foresee this Pluto cycle being very travel focused for both of us.
Yeah,
So we can do like location shoots for our podcast.
you know it.
Yeah. Interview people from around the world.
Yeah.
No, my son, he wants to go to this music school in Norway for college. And I'm
cool.
like, bruh, dude, if you get that, I'm moving.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're coming with you.
One thing I would love to do is basically document my past, I don't know, 10 past lives and then go on trips to the
Yes.
places where they were.
Whoa, dude, that's crazy.
Yes,
and
except
just
for
see, like,
Florida. I have no
yeah.
desire to go to Florida.
Right. Yeah, I don't know that I would want to go to like super traumatic lives, but I don't know. I'm actually pretty interested in going to Salem and visiting
Oh, yes.
the
Mhm.
Salem witch trials lifetime, I think, and going to the museums in that area. I think that would
wanna
be pretty
look up the
fascinating.
names. I want to look up the names and see if because that would be trippy if we got the names right. Because that was my first time really.
So
don't know.
I did look up the names for the people that were just like hung in the trials, but I suspect that I wasn't listed as the people that were hung in the trials because of the extra circumstance with
Yeah,
the
it
little
wasn't
girl
related
involved.
to. Yeah,
Right.
it wasn't related to the actual trials.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That
So
surprised me too. The one thing that I thought was funny is that the birth order in that life is like it is in this life with all 4 of us, but it's flip-flopped. Like the oldest is now the youngest and the youngest is now the oldest, you know. And the other thing I thought was funny is that the interests that we are like specialty or our occult or slash spiritual specialties in that life are what we are interested in now. So it's like the role of Grace. Grace was really religious in that life, and in this life, my friend, she's Mormon. I mean, this time she's not super serious about it. She's more spiritual now too, you know. So she's religious and she's spiritual. Like I read her astrology chart and her transits for her sometimes, or we'll pull cards every now and then. So that's cool, you know. But and then me personally, I'm all about like nature and the moon and the cycles and like doing the energy and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I like the herbs and all that, but I don't really know it that well. I'll learn it, but I love the plants and like connecting with nature and like the animals and everything. And you were all about the magic in that life. And in this life, you dabbled in, you know, the black magic when you were younger. But now it's like once you start, your intuition starts coming back and everything, you know, all those blocks are released. It's like I feel like the magic is also going to be like, what's your special interest, you know? I find that really funny. And then the other sister in that life, I didn't really see what her specialty is, but in this life she's kind of a blend of me and you, where she's like she likes to do the crystals and the nature stuff, but she also likes the rituals of the magic and all that kind of stuff. So it's like I think it's really cool how we all carried that in our personality, which also, you know, it kind of backs up what we said one time in a session, like your soul, you pick this avatar that you choose to be And it's like the avatar has, you know, likes and dislikes and things about their personality and things that, you know, how they think and how they perceive the world. And so it's like that's how they act and how the character that they're going to be this time around. And so as a soul, the point of it all is to learn this avatar and learn this character. And once you do, you start to embody those things about that character, whether it be good or bad.
Whoa, dude, that's crazy, man.
Too deep, bruh. So it makes sense that like in that life I was super about the nature and this and that, and then this life I'm not so much about the magic or the spells. I'm more about the nature and the you know, it's like I don't know at all. It's a continuation because I developed it then and it stays with me now. You know, it's like, and also the things of this body, this Stephanie, you know, this I'm Stephanie in this life, and you know, I like this and this and that, and I've done this and I've done that. And so it's like how many things about my personality now that will stay with my soul for the next life, you know, kind of interesting. Because when we knew about the story, I was very curious about unpacking that story before I went into it, you know, to see what came, because the way I thought it would go is not how it went. Like,
Right.
I was shocked at how it went. And that's another thing that I'm like, because I gaslight myself all the time. Like, is this even real? Like, what am I doing? Like, what is this shit? You know, like, what am
Right.
I talking about? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, were those people really there? Like, it was so stupid, you know, but like, I think about it and I'm like, well, if it was fake, then I would have led the story in the direction I thought it was going to go. You know what I mean?
Right.
The story that came out and the lessons learned, like it blows my mind and it teaches me so much about how the soul corrects karma. Like doing these past life readings over the years, like I've really learned how the soul works through karma because people don't realize it, but like decisions that you make, like how much they impact your life and reverberate throughout lifetimes. The decisions that you make completely impact your life in this life and in the lives to come because like yeah, you have your blueprints for your life, like what we went over in how to plan a life. And, you know, when you go into a life, you have all these little bullet points that you want to accomplish or learn or behaviors you want to get away from, grow out of, what have you. Yes, things are predetermined, but it's not completely every single action is set in stone. You still have wiggle room. You still have your free will and freedom of choice, and you can still make the wrong choice. You need to listen to your intuition. That's the whole point too, to go through all of this and not go through it blind. Because the decisions that you make and the things that you do, I mean, it impacts you and it impacts the people around you. I mean, you know, I've seen lives where people make a decision that completely destroys somebody's life with rumors and scandal and all that kind of stuff, all because they want to get even. And I've seen situations where people thwart love for somebody, and then in their other lives, they can't find love, you know, because they need to understand what happens when you stand in the way of something. You know, granted, if there's things that are completely meant for you and meant to happen in your life, yeah, you can make the wrong choice, but you'll still be worked back through to the original thing. It's just delayed, you know, and you had to go through delays to get it or whatever. But it's like you still have your free will.
Whoa, dude, that's crazy,
Too
man.
deep, bruh.
I was watching a TikTok the other day by my mentor, and she was saying how she has found more recently that you have like a rough blueprint of your life and the challenges that you're going to face and the lessons that you're going to learn, but you don't necessarily sign up for your specific exact traumas. How you learn the lessons is going to be up to your own free will and different things along the way, but there's other aspects in play according to exactly what avenues you take to learn the lessons to hit your bullet points, essentially.
Yeah, because it's like everybody has free will. So it's like you could have a contract with someone where it can be a very difficult exchange with each other. I mean, even a contract with someone where something violent can happen or whatever. But it's like you can have the possibility of it getting to that point, and your soul is aware of that being a possibility and agreeing to that. But still, when you're in the life, it's all unfolds according to choice. It's like you can make a plan to have a challenging life. Granted, the actual challenges that you face are up to your freedom of choice and other people's free will. like you
Yeah.
can make a contract with someone to have an easy life, and you can also make a contract with someone to have a difficult life with them and have it's like just always difficult, whether it be verbally, mentally, physically, whatever.
Right.
So it's like when you're planning that shit out, you're like, yeah, I know this is a possibility that it can go too far, and I'm okay with that. But it's just like the lesson is what is the point. And
Mhm.
so you sign up for all these things, and that's the point, is the lesson. It's
Yeah.
always the point, is the lesson that you get from it. Because in order to ascend in your perfection light body, you have to experience everything, every
Mhm.
fucking thing. And you need to experience it from completely different angles so that you can deeply understand something that you think are minor and insignificant, like the one life where I just ran off and chased my passion rather than the stability,
Mhm.
like how much that affects you and what is at
Right.
stake, what ended up being at stake in that life, that
Right.
was, and then trying to correct it, it's just crazy. Like people don't realize the decisions that you make. Like you really gotta like follow your gut on stuff, I'm telling you.
Right. Yeah, because basically adds more lifetimes on to your journey so that you can
Mhm.
try to correct those mistakes. And that gives you an opportunity in your life planning to pick which karmas or which things that you need to correct, right?
Oh yeah. Well, the thing that I love is how people choose to meet in a life. Because like I have friends that I know I've had in multiple lives, and how we choose to come into each other's lives every time has been hilarious. Like my friend, one of my really close friends that I met here, her and I have a similar story with our sons are literally 10 years apart, same month, 10 years apart. It's crazy. Her and I are about 15 years apart, but there's like so many years between the four of us. It's like, I forget if it's like 5 years or something between the four of us as you go down. But their fathers both passed away, and the fathers are even the same zodiac sign. Like there's so many little synchronicities. But like we always joke that they led us together, that they drew us together and this is how we met in this life. But when I met her, I literally looked at her and was like, "Oh, there you are." And she's like, "Hey." And it was like the most random thing ever, but it's so funny how the souls choose to meet in a life. Like some souls like to do it in a dramatic fashion, and others like to do it
Right.
with just the familiarity of a voice, It's just funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in awe of all of it. My husband and I have had so many lifetimes together. I think we found out, what was it, like 5 or 7 or something like that.
No, there was 8.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No,
So
wait, was there 8? I'm sorry, I was thinking about
I think
something else.
I think it was like 5 of significance. Like we've had some that we were just knew
Mhm.
each other in passing, but and to think, for our contract in this lifetime, we were born on opposite sides of the country, totally different cultures. Our lives were completely different, totally different paths, and yet somehow, some way, we ended up here and meeting here on the most random way. We met by, I sent him a picture on Plenty of Fish on a dating app one night. We had our first date, and I shit you not, we had the same tattoos on our wrists.
Oh, so cute.
Oh,
We
that's
both
funny.
have a diamond on one hand, and we both have a star on the other.
Whoa, dude, that's crazy.
And so it was always a joke, like I knew that I met the right person,
Yeah.
but we went on our very first date and have been together ever since. It was like instant. We just like knew. Well,
Mhm.
he made me wait a long time to propose, like 9 years, but I knew. But
Oh my gosh.
just other, like, I think it's really, really fascinating, where we recently found out that we had a past life with several other people in our local area that, I mean, I haven't even met a lot of them physically, but yet we all have this connection of a past life, and we're all living in this geographical location and have this history, but didn't know. And
Oh, I
that to me
know.
is just mind blowing and fascinating in itself, and how we found each other just through reaching out and putting out messages on message boards.
Well,
It's just,
and that there's 4 sisters, and 3 of them in this life are named Stephanie.
Whoa, dude, that's That's crazy,
Too
man.
deep, bruh.
Yeah.
Like that blew my mind that
That's
all of
a
us.
trip.
I know, it was so funny. I'm like, yeah, that even in and of itself, how that happened, because my friend Stephanie, that's part of this story, her and I we go way back, and I remember a couple of years ago, I was just giving her a past life reading. I was like, yeah, let me stretch my intuitive muscles. I'll give you a reading, and I was like, kind of trying to make dinner and let it come to me, and I saw the Salem witch trials, but I also saw another time period, and they kept bleeding into each other, and I knew they weren't the same time period because of the clothes and everything. But I learned going in these regressions that I really suck at picking out what time period is what, I need
Right.
to learn my centuries a little better, I guess.
Yeah. I wouldn't be good at it either.
Well, and also guessing ages of people. I can't guess ages very well either. But anyway,
Right.
it was funny because I started reading her stuff, and I kept seeing there was a life and then another life. And her and I were in these lives together, and it was like because of this, there was that. I kept hearing because of this, there was that. And so it was a life where, yeah, the life where we were in Salem, but all I got from it was just that she was an accuser, but I didn't feel like she accused me. It wasn't anything like that, and then the other life was the life that I was told about years prior. And I actually picked it out myself because my friend, it was like this whole vision that was like apparent. I don't know. I can't even explain it, but I like got the whole story. And then this life came through, and it was a life where I was the one who accused her of something and la, 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 la. Well, then you fast forward to like what, a month or so ago, you and I are doing that reading, and you were there in Salem, and I was like, I have another friend that was in that who happens to be named Stephanie. And then we find out that yes, we were all in the same life together. We were all sisters, and she was really religious, and we were just about nature, but you were about the magic.
Yeah.
And yeah, she didn't like it, and she didn't like us very much in that life. She was just very serious about God, but it was really funny, like going into these lives with so much vivid detail. Like I'm still trying to teach myself how to just do that by myself.
Right.
But man, like I don't know whatever it is that your meditation, like I don't know, but it just like, and then going through the portal is so cool. And like that life versus all the others I've gone through the portal with, like that one literally reached out and grabbed me because you're like,
Notice a circle above your head.
and I look up, I'm like, ah, and then I all of a sudden like these hands like rah, and I'm like, ah. But it wasn't scary. It was funny. It made me laugh going through. I was like, oh shit, and it was so much fun. Like the girls just grabbed me and were like, here, we want to tell you a story. Like that
That's
story
cool.
did not wait to be told. In fact, you weren't even done going through your meditation. They were like looking at me like, yeah, 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 come on. Yeah, we get it. Let's go. We have a
Right.
story to tell you. It was so cute.
That's cool. Yeah, pretty fascinating stuff. I love doing the past life regression work and uncovering all kinds of cool little morsels of information that just my mind is just blown every day. It stretches and just
Whoa,
wow.
dude. That's crazy,
Too
man.
deep, right?
I'm just constantly fascinated and I love it. It lights my soul on fire. And then not only that, but hearing the feedback from people of the healing that they're able to do and seeing how, the people that are willing to embrace the knowledge that their higher selves gave them and seeing how drastically it can change their lives has been just really beautiful to see. So
Oh yeah,
yeah.
because it's like sometimes when I gaslight myself about it, I always think about the healing, and I'm like, that's very, very real. My healing, the only thing I'm after is I just want to quit snapping at my kids. Like sometimes I just snap at them and just like answer them just like a kind of just being a twit. And it's like, I don't want to do that. I just want to be loving and like, yes, dear, whatever, blah, 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 But I mean, I don't want to be like, what? And so that's literally what I was after. I wanted to know, what is it? Why do I have this short temper?
It's amazing though. You don't really quite realize how certain aspects of your personality, like a short fuse or an irrational fear or things like that, really are, not brought upon from this lifetime at all.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so modern medicine or people don't understand where certain things come from.
You know, when I really dove deep into, like, I had a pretty normal childhood. I mean, yeah, like, you know, nobody's childhood's perfect. There was still shit that, you know, upset me and shit that was shitty. But
Mhm.
like for the most part, I wasn't traumatized in this life, but I always felt like my soul is fucking frazzled. And like
Mhm.
there's a lot of hurt and pain. And one time I like was like trying to see in my mind's eye where it originates. And there's like this fortress and it's like really locked up tight. And it's like these logs and smoke and stuff and vines and like there's fire. And like if you get close, there's like screaming.
Mm.
But as I get close, it's scary and I can't go through it. And I'm just like, no, like that. And so I always am like, okay, well, there's something locked up. Okay. And so
Mhm.
I was like imagining for years, what could it be? Thinking like I did something so terrible, which I'm probably sure I did in the war one, because there was a war life I'm very traumatized about. But
Right.
I don't know, when I dove into it and like even when we went through the portal and went through like you with that meditation took me through that fortress and through the smoke. Like there was times where I felt like I was in the upside down and it was like it looked like season 4 upside down. Like it was crazy. It was so
Mhm.
surreal, like going through it.
Mhm.
And what's funny to me is I don't know what I was thinking trying to unpack this in the first place. It's like you are literally going through something that you have locked up so fucking tight into this little fortress. And it's like when you go through it and you see the other side, it's insane.
But it's rewarding if you're willing to go through the fortress and unpack it.
Like, because when you shed light on your trauma, you're able to, one, just completely understand it. You understand some of your triggers that are linked to that. It's like, oh, well, shit, that's where that originates from. And then like, I've been met with situations and it's like you can kind of work through it with a better perspective on it, I guess.
Mhm.
Because it's like, I don't know, I'm a kind of person where I need to know why and how. And once I do, then I can operate within those parameters, you know. I just need to
Mhm.
know why something is the way it is and how it works. And so, I mean, I've been wanting a regression for years because I want to dive deep into why I am the way I am. And also just to go into my lives. It's always been fascinating to me. But I think a lot of the other reasons people are afraid to do that is because they think they're just going to be sitting in this trauma state all the time. Like they think they're just going to be walking around with trauma all the time. But honestly, once you shed light on it, you do your healing ceremony, like after that, you feel lighter. It feels
Mhm.
like you let go of a heavy pack. And not only that, instead of walking now, you can feel like you can run and jump and be free. And like there's things that normally, I don't know, I think it kind of releases little fears that hold you back even. Like I
Mhm.
kind of feel more confident and stuff. Like even this podcast, I've been wanting to start one for years, but I've just been too afraid, you know, to sit and let people hear my thoughts like that. And but now it's not. It's actually rewarding, you know, it's like the growth that comes from releasing trauma
Mhm.
is it makes it all worth it. Like you have, I mean, eventually you have to face it. So it's like, you know, there's no time like the present, you know?
Right. Yeah, by processing it or uncovering it, shedding light on it, then it gives you a chance to process it and let it go instead of just carrying around these bags that you don't even know you're carrying that are influencing your day-to-day behaviors or reactions or emotions. And you didn't even know that those are actually influencing you because it's coming from your subconscious. But
Well, just
by
or even just all the ways you're sabotaging yourself, you
mm-hmm.
know? Like, yeah, it's crazy. Like the
uh
behaviors that you're not aware of that you
yeah.
do, you know? I mean,
Yeah, well, just the things that are also influencing them that you don't realize. You just think, oh, I'm just this angry person, when actually you're not just this angry person. You just have, a lot of trauma that is triggering anger responses. But by being able to heal that trauma, then it's not going to be triggering these angry responses as quickly. But also, you understand where some of the emotion might be coming from.
hmm definitely. Yeah. I mean, it still remains to be seen, you know? I mean, I just barely started unpacking it and I don't know, I'm just kind of going off of how I feel
Mm-hmm.
right now, but yeah, like it'll be interesting unpacking the rest of it and even the other lives that have brought, quote, trauma.
Yeah. I liked a metaphor that you had used the other day, I believe in one of our sessions, that was like kind of like a sculpture. You're chipping away at it a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time.
Yeah, like it was funny. I loved that analogy too, because I just saw it was like the scene just sitting at this big square, or not a square, it was like a rectangle piece of granite, and you were just sitting there with a chisel and a hammer and just ting 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 ting, and just going for it, and not stopping until the beautiful sculpture has come out, and I loved that metaphor too, because that's really what it is.
Yeah.
And because each regression you're able to chip away more and more, because I don't know, there's a lot of information coming at you, one, and two, it's like your higher self isn't going to just unload everything on you all in one session. That's too much. It's just way too much,
Yeah.
and because even, I mean, I even would like to go back and visit the Salem life and get more from it, because there was so much information and so many people in that life. Because every time I listen to the audio, I get told this life was a hub. It was a hub. Like there's so many people in that life that are connected to all of you guys that were in that life. It's a hub for a lot of people that you know and who know you. It was a very, yeah. And so there's so much to that life that I don't even know. I know I was married and had kids, but I don't know anything about it, because that wasn't necessary to be told at that time. We were
Right.
there to hear about why your throat chakra is blocked. So we were there learning about why that happened.
Right.
Because that's another thing, like you could go into a life wanting to know why something is the way it is, but unless you get really specific, they're not going to tell you anything else about that life.
Right. It's all based on what you ask.
Exactly. Like and that's another thing, like if you're struggling and you need help and you need your guides and you need your angels, like they can't step in and interfere with our lives unless we ask. And
Yeah.
so until you ask, they can't do anything for you. And I'm learning going into these sessions that the same holds true for channeling and like asking questions about the universe. Like they'll tell you what you want to know, but if you don't ask, they're not going to give you more,
Yeah. And then always show gratitude for the information they do give you.
Exactly. Because then they'll be like, oh, you didn't like that? Well, fine. I'm not
Yeah.
giving you any more.
For those of you out there who notice we keep referencing a Salem life that we shared, the full audio is actually out right now if you're interested in listening to that full past life regression over on my Quantum Healing with Steph Green on YouTube.
Yes, please listen. It's actually really good.
Yeah, it's really
worth
fascinating.
Yeah, it's worth listening to. I really enjoyed that one. Yeah, that one was so cool. If you have any questions that you want to know from the universe that we can ask during our channeling sessions, feel free to email us at the deependpodcast 2024 at gmail.com.
Yep. One of the really fascinating aspects or components of the past life regressions is to see key past lives, how oftentimes they really do mirror current incarnations in a lot of ways. It's one of the things that really fascinates me about it.
Not only that is that they mirror past lives, but it's like multiple past lives are mirrored in one life. Like it's crazy to me. Like the boy in the attic is mirrored in this life, and the one I was murdered is mirrored in this life. Like it's insane to me when I unpack the war life, how much of that will be mirrored in this life,
Yeah, even components of the Salem life.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh yeah.
I was actually just thinking earlier today how, because we talk about, cottage in the woods, and it's really funny. I had actually went and sought out some English ivy that is an invasive species, but from another area, and put it in my yard specifically because I wanted it to cover my fence and hide me. And I allow the blackberry briars to grow up on the sides of my house so that like a protection to hide me.
Yeah.
And it's really funny. Like I just kind of had like a little giggle about that earlier today, and like, oh, that must be where that comes from, is from that life, because I've always just had this like desire to, I don't like cutting down my blackberry briars. I don't want them to be cut down. I like the protection,
No, I love that. That is so funny to me. Yeah. One thing I really love about my little brother is like he's incredibly open-minded, and he doesn't he straight up told me like, who knows what's real and what's fake and what's going to happen when you die and what doesn't happen, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. Who knows? Like really, who knows?
Right.
But there's a lot of compelling evidence for my side, man.
Yeah,
And
right.
like like the synchronicities, like that alone is like it's like how can you not believe that this is all connected, that there's something like it's just I don't know, because it's just like that the shit that resonated with you. Like I literally just met you. I've never been to your house. And to
Right.
be able to come to all of that, it's so funny to me how much of that you resonated with. Because when I was saying it out loud, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling. Like this is just, I'm like, I don't know if this makes any sense to anyone. I don't even think it makes sense to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
But you
But
know what's funny is I go back and listen after the fact and I'm like, wow, that was really profound.
right. Well, and in
Yeah.
the moment, you're just kind of like a conduit, like just letting it
Hmm.
flow through you and trying not to question it and not let the ego get in the way of.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's why when we were trying to do that last session, I finally because I was starting to panic with every question and I'm like, we got to stop. My energy is so depleted. Like I had to
Yeah.
work really hard to like because I don't work for the answers, so to speak. I just listen and I wait for them to give me the information. And I
Uh-huh.
was just like waiting really hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really hard. That was a hard one. That also plays a factor in your abilities is grounding your energy and like keeping your energy, up and high. And when you do deplete your energy through, heavy spiritual work or healing or any of that, you have to like give your body rest and feed it well, hydrate it, like, because I was
Yeah.
thinking to myself one day, I was like, how do I quickly get my vibration back? And I'm like, I was surfing Instagram and I saw a picture of a girl in a bath, and I'm like, duh, salt baths. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Of course, I could take salt baths all the time. That is the best way to ground yourself next
Mm-hmm.
to like, feet on the ground kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, my chickens are outside having a women's circle right now. They're standing in a circle facing each other. They're under the cherry tree at dusk. They're ready to do their rituals.
That's funny.
And they're standing all like brown chicken, black chicken, brown chicken, black chicken. Like they're all in a formation. Oh, that's funny. I want to go that I wouldn't mind channeling lives of our pets to see their perspective of us, like I would love
Right.
what my chicken's perspective of me is.
Chickens are pretty funny.
They
I like watching
are.
some of the chicken videos.
Oh my gosh, I have one and we call her Red and she's my son's chicken and she is my son if he was a chicken. She's the tallest one. She's skinny. She's so funny. Like my dog when he lived here, they used to chase each other through the yard. It was so cute. Oh my God. I just would love to know like what they think of each other and like think of the humans, it's just so funny.
I know. The one thing that fascinates me is the idea that your pets come back to you repeatedly
Hmm.
because they have short incarnations, and so they come back to you if their whatever mission with you isn't finished, but they'll come
Yeah, I
back
was
into your
surprised at
body.
yeah, I was surprised with that one because I always suspected it with my cat Winston because he has the same markings as my rabbit. And I had a rabbit in junior high. And I mean, it was ending its life cycle, but the rabbit died, and I I feel so horrible saying this out loud. I shouldn't say this out loud, but I forgot to feed it. And
Oh,
I like literally the guilt from that. Oh my God. I remember I just sobbed when he died. And I
mm,
carried guilt until I met Winnie. And the funny thing is, Winnie does not let me, like when his bowl's empty, he literally is standing on me. He's like, woman, my bowl. He will not let me let him go hungry. But I don't know. He has the same markings as this rabbit. And I always like kind of suspected it. And then in that reading, I asked, and yeah, it was him. And I'm like, hell
Mhm.
yeah.
That's cool.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
I would love to find out if my dog, my rescue pit that she's about a year old. It's really interesting because a couple times in just the heat of the moment, I have called her Angel, but her name is Daisy. And there's been a few times when I've wondered if she was my former cat, Angel. And something that I think is really interesting is Angel was hit by a car, but then survived and basically was disabled for the rest of her life. But Daisy's markings is where Angel's damages were from where she got hit by the car.
Dude. Okay, so that segues into a cool thing I've heard. I completely believe that. Like, I have heard that you bear markings from past traumatic deaths, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, if that's her, like, I believe it because with those
Mm-hmm.
markings like that, that is very compelling evidence to that. Like,
I think so too. And just the fact, why would I call her Angel? I have
mhm.
no idea unless my soul recognizes her soul. It was just really
Well,
wild.
it's like a second nature thing. Like, oh, hey, Angel, and you're like, wait a minute, you know?
Right. I'm just
Yeah.
like, why? An angel has been gone, dead and gone for almost 10 years.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So it's just really fascinating to me. But that's something that I have found a lot in past life regressions is just like we carry emotional traumas with us into lives. Oftentimes, birthmarks can be explained by a traumatic death or a traumatic experience in a previous life, which is what made
Mhm.
me start to think, wow, wait a minute. She has a mark right on her butt and right on the side of her head.
Uh-huh.
And it just blows my mind. I'm just like, it has to be her.
I know, right? I know it's you.
Emotional traumas from past lives can manifest as all kinds of physical issues, like even cancer.
Well, I think even like some of the digestive problems have to
Mm-hmm.
do with like I know
Yep.
my whole family, we all got digestive problems, and it's like, well, like quit blocking your what's the is it the navel chakra? Is that what it's called? The yellow one?
Your solar plexus.
Yeah, that one. I got sidetracked. Sorry. I was trying to do that meditation to myself last night. And I was trying to do the gold ball of light and whatever. And I kept calling my chakra. I'm like, I don't know what chakra that's called, but it's blue. Now this one's green.
I could do it for other people and I really struggle to do it for myself. I have
I
to like
struggle
record
too.
myself and then listen
Mhm.
to it.
I
I
know
need
I
to be told
struggle.
what to do. I can't tell myself what to do for some reason. When
I
it
know,
comes
because
to
like my
that,
higher self is like, hey, come on, focus.
yeah. Yeah, I totally have experienced that quite a bit in my life. And I believe now that I've been working on spiritual healing that a lot of my digestive issues, I think, are caused from traumas or energy that I hold in my solar plexus region as well.
hmm You know, one thing too that's funny is like how much a spiritual problem can manifest physically too. Because it's like you have this issue that's focused so much on like a one chakra area. When you're not recognizing something, or you're not listening to your intuition, or you're not taking care of something, you're swallowing your anger or your pride or whatever, it starts to manifest physically in a sense that you're drawn to things that aren't healthy for you. So you're drawn to alcohol, you're drawn to smoking, you're drawn to sugar, you're drawn to greasy foods, you're drawn to all these things to try to fill the space that's being created spiritually. It's like if you're not listening to what your soul is trying to say to you, or your higher self, or whatever you want to call it. I just kind of noticed that over the last couple of years. Like I struggled with losing weight, and but at the same time I drank a lot. I was overeating. My portions were all out of whack. Just all these things to fill me up, when the real problem was I was denying my purpose. I was denying my soul. I was denying what I really wanted. I was just in all these environments that weren't conducive to my soul. And it started to manifest physically because I was drawn to things that were trying to get my attention through my health, even. There was one night I just drank a lot with my husband and some friends. And that night I woke up in the middle of the night and just threw up blood. And it was like a murder scene. It was really violent. And it was a wake up call. And one thing I learned is when I went to the ER is, that's not that serious. So, Susie meth head and Joe crackhead, they get to go back, but I guess throwing up blood is fine. So I took that time to research healthy stuff, and I just left and I started doing it, and it healed my gut. But then as I was healing my gut, I was also facing things about myself that weren't desirable. I was starting to see where I was being a hypocrite. So I started to try to change that. And then I slowly got into certain things, and certain things started clicking. And then right before I got pregnant with my last child, I stopped drinking. And then, of course, I didn't drink when I was pregnant, and then I didn't drink when I was breastfeeding her. But now, even going through that trauma life, I had a husband who drank, and when he drank, he wanted his way with me by any means necessary. And after learning about that, I can't drink anymore. But it's also, I don't want to, because I like this higher vibration. Now I'm happy, and now I'm following my joy. I'm in my purpose, and my health issues that I struggled with have gone away. I'm finally losing weight. I'm getting in shape again. It's like my gut health is phenomenal, and it's all, I mean, it's not a thing that you can do overnight. Another thing I was doing too is I was looking for all these solutions outside of myself. Like, I'm not losing weight. Well, I need to try this diet pill. Okay, well, I got to switch up and try this diet pill. Or no, I got to try this diet pill. And it never dawned on me. It's like, bitch, first of all, you're drinking all your calories. Second of all, when you drink, you can't lose weight. I mean, of course, you have abdominal fat, you idiot. But it was just like all these things. And so I finally realized, like, the problem isn't outside of myself. It's the fact that I can't put the fork down. Well, why can't I put the fork down? Well, I'm not feeling very fulfilled. Well, why aren't you feeling fulfilled? You know, it's like you literally have to go through, I don't know, you gotta, it's really just about diving completely inside of what motivates you, and you'll find the problem.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, that tangent.
Speaking of, I listened to a really interesting session done by my teacher and mentor, Abby House, where her client struggled with snacking, this insatiable snacking, right? And they uncovered through channeling with the higher self that it was actually caused by the perception of these holes in the solar plexus region that didn't really exist, but they were essentially like trauma-based holes that, because they didn't exist, could never be filled.
Wow.
And so they did like a healing session, and I learned a lot from it. So I actually, after listening to it, sat down and did it myself as well. And it was remarkable. I felt a significant difference, but it never really occurred to me to like think of it from that perspective, that they would be caused basically from trying to fill trauma holes. And so there was some upgrading, healing that happened. And I actually found it to be incredibly helpful when I tried it on myself, but just really interesting, different perspective or approach to that that I thought was really fascinating.
You know, one of the main reasons I drank all the time that I noticed especially when I moved up here, like when I lived in San Diego, I was a DJ. I freaking was in the scene, like it's fun, whatever.
Yeah.
When I moved up here, I found that I was drinking mainly because I was bored and I thought I was boring and I was too serious. And so I drank to lighten up and have fun, you know? And I don't know.
That's funny, me too.
Yeah, it's the funniest. And I used to joke too, because I have a Capricorn moon. My sun and rising is on the social axis, Sag and Gemini, you know, that's the social axis. And well, I think it's it's the learning one. Like Leo and Aquarius can, you know, I think those four could really be the social axes. But like, I always joked around that my sun and rising would get my moon drunk just so I'd chill the fuck out, you know, because I have like heavy Capricorn energy in the 8th house, which is a Scorpio house.
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
heavy dark energy.
Yeah.
But I mean, the same token, it's like I think I numbed a lot.
I feel like that's pretty normal though, especially like in our 20s, we're really trying to figure out who we are, and even in our 30s. And also, I feel like that might come along with us being super intuitive. I feel like part of me was also, I drank to escape my sensitivity to it all, to all the energy, everything around me. Like in college, being surrounded by all kinds of people, and I wasn't exactly in the best relationships at that time. And so, yeah, I totally can relate to trying to fill my trauma holes with alcohol.
I can't say that without the giggity. Yeah, but I agree. Yeah, like your 20s and your 30s even, and you can explain it away astrologically speaking, because after your Saturn return, that's like generally when you become a man or a woman, like you're a real adult. Saturn is the planet of responsibility, karma. It slows everything down, rules time, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. But like it's returning to the position at birth, and that it's a slow moving planet. It takes about 2.5 to 3 years to transit a sign. And so it takes about 30 years to complete a full rotation in your chart. And mine was gnarly, and it starts off crazy and it ends very beautifully. You know, when I turned 30, I felt like a woman, and I felt like I I felt very liberated. I wasn't like, oh, I'm old. Like I felt very young. And it's like I'm in this new phase of adulthood and I feel like I'm starting out in this new phase of maturity, you know? And then now approaching 40 this year, it's like I feel the same way. Like I'm really excited about this new decade and like the new level of maturity that I'll be given and what I'll do with it. But anyway, astrologically speaking, there's phases in your life and transits that happen at certain ages that completely change you because you have your Saturn return that starts about 28-ish, like 27, 28-ish, and it ends right when you're turning 30. And then there's your nodal return, and that starts like 5 or 6 years later. But that one is where it like redirects you. If you're not living your purpose or where you're supposed to be in life or whatever, it will course correct you. And mine literally began the night that I threw up blood. And mine is on my health and spirituality axis. That's where my north and south node are. And
Interesting.
literally the night that I threw up blood, I have Uranus in the 6th house of health, and that's like sudden chaos, sudden things. Uranus rules sudden stuff. And Mars was transiting my 6th house, and Mars rules blood, and it went right exact over Uranus when I threw up.
Whoa, dude, that's
Wow.
crazy.
So I'm like,
Crazy.
yeah, but astrology isn't real. I'm just now like really understanding transits and stuff, and that's was the big lesson for me in understanding was obviously likening it to your own life is the best way to learn astrology. But like, yeah, studying the patterns and stuff. Yeah, it was crazy.
It'd be cool to look and see what my are and see
Yours,
how
I
they
was looking-
coincide with things in my life that happened.
Well, I was looking at your chart today, and you have your north and south node and the Cancer Capricorn axis, and that's like your ancestry and your family generational axis, you know, because it rules the mother and the father. And your north node is in Cancer in the 2nd house. And so it's like the things you value. Cancer's the nurturer, you know, but that's the mother line. And so, yeah, we can unpack all that during the astrology episode too.
Wow, yeah, that's so cool. It's so fascinating. I love listening to it because I don't know hardly anything about that. I've just always followed my regular Capricorn horoscope kind of a thing. So I love learning about the astrology and the birth placements and stuff. Well, that's all the time we have for today.
Thanks for tuning in, listening to our podcast, and following us into the depths of the subconscious and the unknown.
Into the depths of your soul.
Come find me and book a reading on www.mutablemystic.com. You can find me on Instagram at Sagittarius_Mercury, or find me on Facebook at Stephanie Magdill.
And you can find me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook under Quantum Healing with Steph Green, and book your own past life regression session, or you can send me a message on Facebook and we could talk about what you have in mind. And don't forget to like, follow, and share the Deep End podcast on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Thanks for tuning in today.
Till we can bend your mind next time. Always remember to ground your feet in the dirt and enjoy life with those gratitude glasses on. Catch us on
The Deep End.
The deep end.
Welcome to the Deep End.
The Deep End.
The deep end, bro.
Yeah, brah, deep end.
Deep, man.
The Deep End.
Deep end. The deep end.